Hello and welcome to the hard sell, where the stick in the swill-bucket rattles back. Supermarkets are an endless source of fascination to me, although I have no idea why. I think it's something to do with the vast array of consumer products being housed within another consumer product, like a matrushka of capital, where the hapless proletarian is sold not only the things themselves, but the area in which they buy them. Or maybe it's just because I grew up in the country, in a town which only had one supermarket, until I was 6 years old. And that was a mile's walk to the other side of town, so it felt vaguely special when I got to go there. I still live in the same town, but progress has moved on in 35 years, and now one part of it has 6 shops that could be described as supermarkets within 600 yards or so. 4 of them are where the old one used to be. I'm not bemoaning this. Well, not right now. Hey, it's choice. Everyone loves choice, much better than guaranteed quality. Anyway, I've done grocery stores twice before, of course, and the current big 5, Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's and Farm Foods, all get airings in the Christmas episodes, except Farm Foods because I made that up. So this time around, in memory of Norman's super warehouse with its branches throughout the southwest, let's look at some old supermarkets that you can't shop anymore because they're dead in the ground rotting.
Shop and save on food, drinks, toys, everything at Norman's.
Many of these, like Norman's, were local chains that got swallowed up as the world essentially zoomed out. A famous example is William Lowe, Scotland's very own supermarket, which at one point was so successful it bled over the border as far as the Tyne Tees region at least. I remember it confusing me with its mere existence when I spent Christmas 1988 in North Yorkshire. That red square logo with the bubble writing, like an unfamiliar roadside diner. And Wum, that's not a word. Why is it called Wum? Madness. Bloody North. Mind you, if it had been a few years earlier, I would have been even more confused by their stern Bauhaus previous logo. Why is Ted Bellingham moonlighting from Keep Britain Tidy? How is this a welcoming image for a supermarket? Am I missing something fundamental about 1970s Scotland that makes this work in some way? Anyway, I couldn't find any adverts featuring this brutalist thing, but I do have this, which I assume launched the friendly bubble writing look. Sorry about the quality, but at least 34 years old. Get off my back.
Here we go. Mum's got herself lost in William Lowe again. I only went to look at the chocolate biscuits for a second. Huh, mums. Can't turn your back on them for a minute. Where did you last see her? They said. Well, first there was the yoghurt, then there was the creature from the Black Lagoon. Then there was the lady who made me say, cheese. Then there was the lady we had a chat to in the bakery. Quite a long chat. But after that, I just don't know where she went. That's when I had to tell the man my mum was lost again. Mum says I'll do anything for an orange juice.
William Lowe. It all adds up to a better store.
Hard to imagine child endangerment being treated quite so light-heartedly in this day and age. William Lowe. For God's sake, don't bring your kids if you also want to leave with them. Doesn't say a huge amount about the shop either, does it? Except that it eats children alive. I don't think that was the flash new image they were really going for. Even disregarding the unsettling subject matter, because it's narrated from the kid's point of view, the tone is relentlessly negative throughout, encouraging the viewer to associate William Lowe with, at best, grudging duty spiced with potential domestic horror. This one from a couple of years later is a bit more like it.
It all adds up.
crispy minimalism, as was the style at the time, highbrow baroque music, albeit played on a synthesizer, classy fonted text about the quality of their products, and a certain old-timey feel with the wicker basket and the products being largely loose and unbranded, as if you'd gone shopping at a covered market in Provence circa 1903, rather than trudging through a linoleum-panelled warehouse in Lanarkshire in 1991. And an old-fashioned jingle at the end, which maybe undermines the classiness a tiny amount, but at least it's not saying that your child will very probably vanish in this shop.
It all adds up to a better store.
This one came towards the end of the line for the venerable Old Low, however. The bubble writing logo was introduced at the peak of the brand's performance, and from the late 80s through the early 90s the company gradually declined, until a buyout became inevitable. And the only question throughout 1994 was which of the big names was going to take it over. A little bit like the end of Boris Johnson's career. In William Low's case it turned out to be Tesco, who imposed themselves on the old country by a strange and unsettling combination of osmosis and gaslighting.
For those of you who haven't won the lottery, you can save 50p per pound on Tesco boneless leg of pork this Christmas. Live it up with a saving of £1 on Tesco raspberry pavlova. Go mad with 50 whole pennies off Stilton cheese. Oh, all right, it's not the jackpot, but it is a total saving of £2. Oh look, a bottle of Tesco Van de Pay, £1.99. Tesco at William Low. Every little helps.
Incidentally, if you're wondering who William Low was, he was actually two people, William Retty and James Low, combining their names in slightly confusing fashion. I suppose they thought it sounded better than Retty Low. One of William Low's potential suitors was the Argyle Group, fellow Scots and fourth biggest supermarket company in Britain at one point. They achieved this largely through absorbing various other companies and bringing them under their umbrella. Companies such as Galbraith, Templeton, Hinton's and various other grocery chains named after their founders' surnames. Their biggest brand, however, was Presto. From headquarters in Edinburgh, Presto eventually made it nationwide as far south as Paignton.
At Presto Paignton, which opens on Tuesday, our fish will be specially selected at the quayside, so the best ones will never get away.
See? Where the fish were many.
Our fruit will come from our own carefully hand-picked growers. And in the store, we'll actually bone
I'd rather you didn't.
and slice sides of bacon
Oh, right. Bo.
for you to bring home. So for the best go to your new Presto in Paignton.
In 1985, the Argyle Group decided to restructure themselves with Presto at the centre. They dropped most of the other brands and turned them into Prestos, while simultaneously swapping the extremely 70s Judas Priest-looking logo for something crispier and classier. They went the other way with the slogan, though.
If you really value low prices, pop along and be impressed in Presto. Large size whiskers 34p, Nescafe £2.59, Heinz tomato soup only 27p.
Some saving. I'm impressed. You're in Presto.
Did you hear that? That was an audible thud.
Processed peas 10p, McVitie's chocolate home wheat 47p, freshly cut cheddar 98p.
That's fresh. I'm impressed.
You're in Presto.
Yep, totally not annoying, contrived and vaguely patronising at all. Well done there.
You'll be impressed in Presto.
The great Presto rebrand was a false start, however, because 2 years later the much bigger name of Safeway came up for grabs, and Argyle won that. Almost immediately it displaced Presto as their central identity, to the extent that after 10 years they simply renamed themselves from Argyle to Safeway Limited, after a brief but intoxicating run alongside Tesco, Sainsbury's and Asda as one of the UK's top supermarkets, albeit never placing higher than fourth. I'm pretty sure we've been through Safeway's advertising before, but for the record, pre-Argyle, their spokeswoman was an oddly medicated-seeming Hannah Gordon, floating through the aisles with the eerie calm of a haunted mannequin.
Safeway.
Safeway shopping is quality at low prices. On the kind of things you and I need every week. And Safeway shopping is Safeway's own brand, such a wide range for you to choose from. And because it has Safeway's name on it, you'll know it's good. That little bit more is the good value of Safeway's own products, because Safeway shopping is quality at low prices.
Safeway! Everything you want from a store and a little bit more.
The most famous campaign after that, however, was the one starring Martin Clunes as a lugubrious toddler's internal monologue.
So, where are we off to today, Mum? Toys R Us, perhaps? What? Oh, no, it's a supermarket. We'll never get a parking space, you know that, don't you? Oh, that was a bit of luck. Nice set of wheels, girls. Shame about the hats.
At Safeway, we're doing everything we can to make shopping easier. With parent and child parking spaces right next to the entrance, a wide range of trolleys and a bag packing and carry-out service.
Oi, what's that man doing with our shopping? Now, I could be wrong, but I think he's following us. Good idea, Mum. We'll lose him in here.
Safeway, lightening the load.
It's fairly obviously a take on Look Who's Talking, the charm factor of which was highly overestimated at the time.
Oh, that's so lovely. Did your mummy make it?
Don't be stupid.
Was that a no?
Half price at Safeway.
Harry, because that's his name, might not have been the most likeable mascot, but he was a mascot. And at the very least he looked adorable. Unfortunately, he had a limited shelf life, pun not intended, because babies tend to grow into actual snot-nosed children. By the mid-90s, they were concentrating increasingly on his sister.
I can't believe Mum forgot the pizza again. Mamma mia.
Double whammy pizza. Buy one, get one free.
And then she got another little brother of her own, voiced by Paul Whitehouse, to increasingly little avail.
So, did Mum manage to get me a free penguin then? Oh. What, did she manage to get me a free Coke?
Oh. If you buy one of Safeway's 650 price-protected products cheaper at your local Sainsbury's, Tesco or Asda, we'll give you another one free.
Looks like Mum finally managed to get you some free crisps then, Joe.
Ha ha, that's where you're wrong, these are yours. Ha!
Price protected at Safeway.
By the turn of the century, the premise had degraded into random toddlers with the voices of random celebrities.
Buy any L'Oreal Kids hair product.
Top banana, Ted.
And get another one free at Safeway.
Jeremy Clarkson reciting the L'Oreal slogan over footage of a 2-year-old signalled that the bit was very much over, as were Safeway's glory days. After 3 years of apparently unstoppable decay, the brand was absorbed by Morrison's as a way of going national for the first time. They did revive the name recently as a sort of budget brand, which actually seems kind of mean. There you are. You may have noticed that there have been two kinds of supermarket advert, broadly speaking, or rather there are two approaches, which many if not most brands use simultaneously in separate campaigns. One is all about the image of the company, and concentrates on the quality of their products and the amount of faffing around they spend on them. The other is the more direct sort that pummels you with prices and offers. Some brands specialise in the former, the upper middle class shops like Waitrose and M&S, who simply can't brag about their prices, but can argue that their stuff is worth it. Relatively few specialise in the latter, and it's not a great sign if they do. One such brand, or rather two such brands, were Gateway and Summerfield. Did it have their moments back in the day? Remember this?
Beyond the blue horizon waits a beautiful day. Goodbye to things that bore me. New worlds waiting for me. I see the new horizon. Life has only begun.
A rare example of supermarket pastoral there from Gateway. I have to say I do miss that big G. Coincidentally, their history is also entwined with Argyle Foods, in that they grew out of one of the smaller brands and actually managed to fight them off, Frank D Supermarkets. Seeing the way the wind was blowing in the early 80s, D & Company withdrew from the wholesaling side of the business to concentrate purely on retail, creating the name Gateway for the purpose. And Gateway pootled along through the 80s and 90s as a solid mid-range grocer that never really broke through to the big time. And that might be partly because of the advertising, which, Pastoral Symphony accepted, seemed to be actively running away from the big time. You remember this.
Gateway have cut over 1,000 prices, from Pepsi Cola to pan cheese slices to pound of bananas, 25p. I'm glad these savings are easy to see.
Top side of beef is down 80 pence. Savings like this make a lot of sense.
Over 1,000 price cuts, fresh milk to quavers. Price check savings are super savers.
Thank goodness for Gateway.
Come back to the 5 and dime vanilla ice. Somehow that got made without anyone at any stage realising that it's one of the worst ideas anyone has ever had. So perhaps it's not surprising that they carried on with it, in defiance of common sense, God, and all natural law.
Are you saving with Price Check? I know I am. Just look at the price of this Jubilee ham.
Saving is easy and you can see why with money off things you always buy.
Chicken this weekend.
Good idea.
It certainly pays to buy yours here.
This looks like an interesting wine. Hungarian Chardonnay, $1.99.
Soft baked rolls you warm in the oven with 20 pence off, half a dozen.
Price Check at Summerfield and Gateway stores now.
They did at least stop the pretense of rapping, despite the beat in the background. As you can see, they're just speaking in rhyme now, like twats.
Satsuma's a half price, only 27p. My mum suggested more vitamin C.
3 rolls of gift wrap, only 99p.
Well, Santa got me, Mum.
Just wait and see.
Half price ham. I'll make rolls tonight. He's fishing tomorrow. He'll want something to bite.
Is it gas Mark 3 for 6 hours or more?
No, dear, it's 4 hours, I'm sure.
Maybe it's cheaper to shop around.
These turkeys are guaranteed the cheapest in town.
Price Check savings at Summerfield and Gateway.
Brand inevitably changed hands a few times in the late 80s and early 90s, and whoever owned it in 1990 decided to rebrand it under the name of Summerfield, apparently completely arbitrarily. Which is fine, I suppose, but they did it so gradually, over the course of several years, during which both Gateway and Summerfield were used interchangeably and side by side, that it just weakened both names. Anyway, someone eventually gave them a much-needed slap and got them to drop the whole rhyming shtick, whereupon they replaced it with something almost as annoying.
I do love the sales. That's why I enjoy shopping for my groceries at Summerfield. They have Price Check. It's a bit like a sale every day of the week with loads of offers on anything from fresh fruit to cheese and wine. And because I've saved so much, I thought I'd treat myself to this little number.
Do you want a hand inside with that, love?
Price Check at Summerfield. Savings that add up.
No disrespect to Leslie Joseph, but a Jewish coyote character only really worked on Birds of a Feather sometimes because she had the other actors to bounce it off of. In isolation, it's just tedious and kind of unsavoury, which aren't attributes you want your supermarket to be associated with. Viewers agreed, and after multiple complaints of the 50-year-old woman draping herself around a fitness model was actually putting people off their shopping, the tack was changed once more. One thing Leslie's era had achieved was to shake off the last remnants of Gateway, so at least they had an identity sorted out there. Summerfield all the way. And their new mascot was a pointedly ordinary housewife character actually called Annie the Housewife. whose shtick was to deliver monologues to camera about shopping. She didn't turn out very popular either, though.
Night, Annie. Bye. Have you noticed our special offers often come with special conditions? Buy a kipper, get a kiwi fruit free, or eat 5 Knickerbocker Glories and get the 6th one free. But Summerfield, it's a doddle. Leg of pork, half price. Simple.
She was played by a lady called Suzanne Forster, a utility character actress and aspiring stand-up on the pub circuit, which explains all those brittle one-liners.
Summerfield's Price Check has great offers every week, like buy one, get one free on Sara Lee lemon meringue pie.
Free? One of my favourite prices.
I feel like I should point out that Forster didn't write any of the material. Maybe it would have been better if she had. It certainly would have suited her better. Because as it stood, she just didn't come across as terribly likeable.
The way I look at it, the 3 most stressful things in life are marriage, moving, and the big Saturday shop. I mean, it's a war zone. I tried it once. I got lost in aisle 654. Got my shins bruised in a nasty case of trolley rage. I mean, marriage guidance counsellor could have done a roaring trade at the checkout. I go to my local Summerfield. I get round really quickly. They've got what I want, and you can't beat the savings. After all, if I wanted stress, I'd have stayed at home, wouldn't I? Right!
They're obviously trying to go for an Oxo family thing, and most specifically, they clearly wanted Annie to be the new Katie, the original Oxo mum, who became a celebrity in her own right. But Katie was nice, you see, to the point of having almost no perceptible personality whatsoever. Annie, there was something abrasive about her. Like she was constantly suffering from a headache behind the eyes, and was accommodating you as best she could, but would really rather be left alone.
So for me, the only stressful part of shopping is arriving home. Jack!
This week at Summerfield, fresh legs of lamb are half price.
Oh, there you are. You've got 2 minutes, or it'll be Mrs. Angry in the kitchen with the leg of lamb.
No one really got on with her. Summerfield's stock fell even further until the co-op finally put them out of their misery. Suzanne Forster is now a clinical psychotherapist in the North London area and no longer acts.
Summerfield makes Christmas easy with price check offers like £1.30 a pound off Cathedral City mature cheddar.
Don't you just love a traditional Christmas?
I suppose the co-ops still own the Summerfield name, possibly even the Gateway one. They could bring it back, the way Morrison's had with Safeway. But then again, why would they? Does anyone miss Summerfield? Does anyone miss Safeway? At least Gateway had that chubby G logo, which was quite endearing. Most supermarket logos now are just the name in a friendly font. Even Morrison's, the exception, is kind of blah. No wonder it's falling behind the budget stores Aldi and Lidl, with their forecourt-ready square symbols. Let this be a warning to you.
I'm so happy I could scream in my 8th little store on the green, where everything is fine, where everything is fine, so fine, so fine.
You just sat through a Bob the Fish production. Nice! If you haven't already, you absolutely must check out bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds more videos not unlike that one, adding up to days worth of entertainment and all absolutely free. But if you're not a cold-hearted skinflint, you can always support us on Patreon. For as little as anything at all, you can make programmes like the one you just watched possible in the first place, and become eligible for bonus material such as glimpses of the book I'm writing about the BBC, monthly riffings on random commercial breaks, the complete archives of the angry political satire magazine Two Sons, and even the odd very occasional bonus video essay Unavailable anywhere else. If nothing else, you should prevent me from starving and or freezing to death in the foreseeable future, so that'll be nice. No pressure or anything. bobthefish.org.uk. You make it what it is.